Design Leader Insights is brought to you by Fuego UX, a UX research, strategy, and design consultancy. Hey, Subhasree, thanks so much for joining the show today.
Hi, Alex. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, of course. And an interesting slash awesome guest, not a designer per se, but more of a data analyst. And I'd love to kind of learn about your career journey in data analytics, and then we'll hop into kind of how you collaborate with designers after that.
Yeah, of course. So I actually started as a software engineer back when I did my undergraduate in computer science and engineering. But because of the projects I got at that time, I got interested in data and started kind of learning by myself and got into the space of data analytics. And then I came to the US and I did my master's in data analytics and kind of started working in this role. I started as an IC, so an individual contributor as a data analyst. And initially, my work was to help UX with data. But then I quickly realized that it's not about only me helping UX with data, it's about that collaboration, right? Like we all help each other to make our product better. So that's kind of how I got interested in the UX space as well. And I started working very closely with UX research and designer. So now currently I am a manager in data analytics and I'm leading a team of 5 data analysts working in different spaces within the product. And I am part of a company called LexisNexis, which is a legal software company. So it's a very interesting space in terms of our customer and user base. So I am trying to do the similar thing which I started doing as an IC, that collaboration between UX and data, a habit, like natural intuition between all of my colleagues as well.
Yeah, I love that. And I think what you just touched on is kind of one of my takeaways from your talk at UXDX is that although today we're going to dive into data and UX and driving that collaboration better, I think the fundamentals of what we're going to talk about are applicable to anyone, which is interesting. But yeah, I think really let's dive into that because the designer mindset and the data analyst mindset and the tools they use and the way they think and the way they approach problems are oftentimes polar opposites, right? And so one of the things that designers might experience is, hey, here's a research report. There's look at that data, and what are they going to do with that? That's not how they think or learn or operate. So I think how do you and vice versa, right? Like I don't expect a data analyst to come in to hop into Figma and understand, the design iterations that a designer has done. So how can people kind of translate their work for other stakeholders?
Yeah, so basically, like we have all of these very niche expertise where we are kind of like working in our different capacities. But if we are not able to translate it in terms of cross-team collaboration, then we are losing the impact that we can potentially create. So as you said, like as a data analyst or even maybe as designers also, we tend to talk in those technical terms as well, or we want to showcase all the different platforms we are using or all the capabilities of our skills. But for that other person, everything is new, right? Or everything is different. So it's very difficult to grasp that amount of information if you are only getting a chance to interact with them in that professional capacity within those 30 or 45 minutes of meetings that you have scheduled, right? So the main suggestions I have in that case is stop having that kind of transactional relationship
Yeah.
where the designers may be coming to the data analyst and asking about, can you give me that data? And that data analyst is just sending them that data. Or similar for designers as well. Like if you just send me a design, I don't know anything like what to do with it. So that's why it's very important to create a relationship outside of that only set of data or only set of design. So I feel like that kind of communication builds that relationship and helps
Yeah.
understand each other in a much better way. And the communication that you are having or the result of that communication is much more effective than just sharing stuff with each other.
How have you actually gotten those teams to continue this collaboration?
So we do have regular sync up meetings with the product analyst, the UX researcher, and the UX designer. We do have bi-weekly office hours where the idea is basically just like come up with whatever questions you have, whatever you want to discuss. Do you want to discuss about like a data analytics topic? Do you want to discuss about some design methodology? Like it's basically like a safe space to ask what questions you have, to discuss whatever you have. You have frustrations with stakeholder, perfect space to talk about that. So just making that continuous collaboration a practice. And then the other thing that we have started doing is including whenever we are talking about readouts or analysis report, including each other's conclusions or recommendations in the same document. So it's not on your stakeholder to reach out to UX when they feel that kind of need or like feel that it's appropriate, and reach out to data separately when they feel it's appropriate. It's about creating that triangulation in a way, and then making sure that everybody is on the loop of exactly what's happening and kind of like what are the main recommendations.
So I think like, designers may be more acutely aware of this because empathy should be built into their practice of understanding users. But um, for other people like data analysts, maybe not. Like how can they understand the mindset of who they're trying to share these insights with?
Yeah, that's why, as I said, like in those, kind of like office hours or in the conversation that we are having, we encourage kind of understanding that person or that person's roles, their like capabilities and their constraints in some cases also, right? Because oftentimes we feel like, oh, that person is not curious about data or they don't want to know about data, but there might be like different reasons why that is happening. Maybe they are like already overworked. They already have so much in their plate that they cannot really think about anything else. And especially something else which is not like always something they understand completely.
What advice do you have for designers who may be looking to learn more about data analytics or how they should approach data to inform decision making?
I mean, it will be great if you already have a data analytics team present who you can just reach out to, or if they have some kind of report and dashboards out there, maybe just like start interacting with a little bit. And if you feel like, oh no, this is like too much for me, I don't understand anything out of it, I am hoping that the data analytics people are somebody who you can reach out to and just like again start that discussion and start from the like very beginning with like smaller things, right? Like maybe you are very curious about something that you are currently working on and you just want to focus on that. It's fine, like you can start there, but hopefully with continued interaction and with that kind of like personal relationship, it can go to the point where you are more comfortable working with them, or just like broader understanding of how we do our analytics work as well. Actually, one more thing I want to mention here is like
Yeah.
whenever we are getting trained on whatever our expertise is, like whether it is data analytics, whether it's UX design or UX research, we generally get trained on all of those technical aspects of it. But nobody really teaches us on how to again like translate those
Yes.
information or how to work in a cross collaboration or cross team situation where that other person might not know anything about what you are talking about. So I feel like honing those skills and trying to improve those skills are very important as well, which is not always the most important thing you are learning when you are like studying with your core kind of expertise.
I love that you brought that up. I mean, that's always my advice to designers is like, what do you know about product? How many product managers have you talked to? Because that's who you're going to interact with. And applies to most
Exactly.
professions. Like no one understands the jargon you're saying. No one cares because they have 50 other things to do. So like how are you collaborating with them in a way that is easy for them to understand and actually makes them interested in what your department or team is doing? So that is a great point. Like education, from what I've seen, really fails at this point. They teach you one point of view, one perspective, and that doesn't really take you that far unless you can collaborate with all the other departments. And it takes a whole
Exactly.
team and company to actually push great products. So that I love that perspective.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so always keep in mind two things. One is know your audience,
Yeah.
and to give them what the most important thing that they need to know from.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Yeah, thank you so much, Alex, for inviting me. It was a pleasure talking with you.